welcome to Eclectica in another episode. Today I am going to talk with Mr. Shukanto Nag. He is a veteran finance professional, a qualified chartered accountant, company secretary, cost and management accountant, a master in commerce, and a certified associate of Indian Institute of Bankers. He has in his credit about 35 years of post-qualification experience, which includes a few overseas assignments in varied segments of financial sector encompassing corporate banking, risk management, credit rating, financial consulting, economic and corporate research, and corporate valuation. He has held CXO level positions in many organizations and currently he is the director in ARTT Consulting of Kolkata. Mr. Nag has a modest flair in academics as well. He has been a guest lecturer and guest speaker in various premier academic professional institutes and industry bodies like IIM Kolkata, IIT Kharagpur, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Institute of Company Secretaries of India, University of Kolkata, IMI, ICFI Business School, Indian Chamber of Commerce, Confederation of Indian Industries, Bengal National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, FIDC, and so on and so forth. So I welcome you, Mr. Shukanto Nag, to this episode of Eclectica. So, a warm
Thank
welcome
you.
to you, and thank you
Thank you
for
so much for the
joining
invitation.
me in this endeavor. Uh, so, uh, uh, so how are your days going now in lockdown? First
Yeah,
question, I would ask you that. Yeah.
the days are going on for last 1 month from home only, but through video conferencing, telephone call, this, that, etc. But it has been
So,
continuing like this
what?
since 20th of March.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a situation that everybody of us are very new to. So
Yes.
let's go to the conversation today, and I think with your immense experience in the finance sector and the recent news that we have been listening about, particularly with the banking commercial banks, like we heard the thing and we saw the thing that happened with Yes Bank. So my first question to you would be: Is it like the future of commercial banking in India? Is like how is it? I mean, is there any reason for the depositors to take a pause? Because seeing such events with like Yes Bank and others. So, what would be your suggestion in this?
There are two aspects in your question. One is the future of the commercial banking in India and whether the depositors should take a bit of caution in putting their money into the banks. But both the questions are interlinked. If you see, the Indian banking has been traditionally in the nature of collecting deposits and deploying in the majorly in the form of loans, right? So when it talks about a collection of deposits, how competitively you are raising deposits and what is the profile of your deposits, I mean the mix of the deposits, that matters a lot for the purpose of bank raising the resources, because bank is to raise the resources and deploy it into the corporates and SMEs, etc., and make a spread between the two. And bank's ultimate lending rate is essentially the cost of deposit plus expected credit loss plus overhead plus profit. So if the
All
bank
right.
does the whole game in efficient manner, then the success of bank depends. And Indian banks over the years have demonstrated its performance. Right. When the first stage is at what cost you are acquiring the deposit and what is the profile of the deposit. Not only the cost, the profile is also important. Why
Absolutely.
why the profile is important? Because if it's a short term, if it's a vulnerable in nature, then bank cannot lend that money for a long term purpose. If it gets the money for a short term from a short term source and gives for long term purpose, so then will be a problem. They will not be able to pay the depositor in time, right? So the profile is also
Absolutely.
important, and the mix. The mix also important, not only from the profile perspective, even from the cost perspective. If you see the bank's deposits, as anybody knows about, there are three major nature of bank deposits. One is the current account, savings account, and fixed deposit, right? However you call it fixed deposit, there are many banks calling the investment deposits, etc., etc. But basically they're term deposit, right? In case of a savings and current account deposits, interest rate is negligible. In case of a current account deposit, there is no interest. It's an interest-free deposit, right? In case of a savings bank, it ranges between 3 to 4%, right?
Right.
And so bank normally tries to procure more and more fund under the savings and current account, which is called CASA, current account saving account. So if the CASA is high, in a bank, then bank. And if you see the entire resource pattern of a bank, 85% comes from the deposits, right?
All right.
And out of that 85%, bank has to maintain the SLR, the statutory liquidity ratio as prescribed by Reserve Bank from time to time, and the cash reserve ratio, CRR. And after that, the remaining amount bank puts for the purpose of lending and investment purpose, right? So if it has a good mix of deposits where the CASA will be higher, so the cost of deposits will be cheaper, and the profile will be good so that the deposits are not vulnerable. Right. So in that case, the deposit part bank is taking care of. The second part is how the bank contains its overhead. Third part is that how the bank manages its asset quality, how good the loans are. So asset quality determines the expected credit loss will be lower. The lower the expected credit loss, the higher the profit, higher the viability for the banks, right? So from all this perspective, I do not feel there is any concern about the future of commercial banking in India, and commercial banks in India are the major driver of the economy, and Reserve Bank has a huge reliance, the Government of India, Minister of Finance has huge reliance on it. So I think from the future's perspective, it is not a concern. The important is bank has to efficiently work on all these areas. Like in a credit quality, when the bank has to lend money, bank has to identify the right borrower. Bank has to have the right quality of employees. Bank has to avoid all sorts of unproductive, undesirable interference, including political and social interference, so that the bank can lend the money in its own way, most competitively and most efficiently. Because it has to be remembered by everyone that the bank is a custodian of public money, right? So when I'm the custodian of somebody else's money, I'll be more careful than dealing with my own money, right? Because if I do something, a mistake in my own money, then I'm responsible for myself only. But I make a mistake in others' money, then I'm responsible to the entire world. I'm the entire public at large, right? So from this perspective, bank has to efficiently handle all this. The element of interference will be there and was there, are there, will be there. I joined banks way back in 86 and left bank in 94. 9 years I worked in 3 banks, right? And I was always in public sector banks. So I had seen varieties of interferences.
Absolutely.
But you have to handle it efficiently because ultimately you are responsible to the people. So it is your test how you handle it. Right?
So my question would be,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, please. Okay.
Yeah,
So my next question is that what should be commercial banks' approach in credit rating? So
before that, I have to reply the second part of the question. I told about the future of commercial banking. Second is whether the depositor should take a pause, right? And especially you said in the perspective, in the context of US Bank's failure.
Right.
The bank failure has not been new. It has been happening for decades and years. Okay. In our childhood times, many Bengali films we had seen, the failure of banks, etc. So it was happening before independence. It was happening after independence, etc. But if you see, that's why the then government had taken the move of nationalizing the banks. So in 69, the then India government had nationalized 14 banks, and in 80 they have nationalized another 6 banks. Total was 20 banks are nationalized, and out of these many mergers have taken place over the time. Now the number of banks are getting reduced in the nationalized bank. But the point is, whenever there is a failure, if you see the failure out of the 20 nationalized banks, only 1 nationalized bank had failed. That is New Bank of India, Delhi based. And immediately the government of India, the RBI stepped in and they get it merged with Punjab National Bank. Right? So far as the private sector banks are concerned, as far my memory goes, in 89, the United Industrial Bank based out of Calcutta, it failed. It was got merged with Allahabad Bank. Then your Global Trust Bank of South, defaulted and failed, then it was merged with Oriental Bank of Commerce.
Right.
Then recently, if you see that the Yes Bank, there was a problem. The government didn't get it merged with any other bank, but government pumped into money through good quality of shareholders like LIC, SBI, etc., etc. So the government has always demonstrated its support to the commercial banks so as to ensure that the public confidence is not getting diluted. Number one. Number two is that the government has also increased the insurance cover for deposits. So earlier it was 1 lakh per bank per depositor. Now it's a 5 lakh per bank per depositor under the last budget, right?
Okay.
So if you deposit 5 lakhs in each bank, deposit insurance is covered by the Deposit Insurance Credit Guarantee Corporation, DICGC. So never a commercial bank's failure, the depositor has suffered, not even an Yes Bank also. In case of cooperative banks, government has not provided that. Perhaps government is not capable. Government does not have so much of liquidity to support all and every cooperative bank because there are many numbers. So I should only say that when it's your money, the depositor should be careful in lending whom they are putting the money, etc. They have to be careful because there is their hard-earned money. But I don't think there is any reason to depositor for taking a pause.
All right. So yeah, I was asking you that. So what should be the commercial bank's approach in credit rating? So do they take it as a regulatory compliance or use it in strengthening credit risk management? So what would be your views on this particular aspect?
Yeah, I was in credit trading for many years, almost 20 years, and worked in 2 rating agencies of the country out of the 7. My last job was also a CEO position in one of the credit rating agencies. So my point is the credit rating, how it came in India, because credit rating is about a 30, 35, 33 years experience in India, whereas in developed nations, it is more than 100 years, right? So, and International Bank for Settlement, which normally monitors the banking operations across the globe, they have signed a accord with the G20 countries, and accordingly India is one of them, and India agreed to follow the guidelines issued by the International Bank for Settlement. And International Bank for Settlement is located at Basel, Switzerland, and they have given 3 rounds of prescriptions. It's called Basel 1, Basel 2, and Basel 3. All may be knowing the Basel 2, Basel 3, very popularly known, but Basel is a place, and 1, 2, 3 are the series of recommendations, right?
All right.
Under the Basel 2 recommendation, they said that beside taking care of market risk and operational risk, you have to take care of the credit risk also. And they said that the banks, while lending to corporates above a particular threshold, has to see the credit rating, and accordingly, they fix the interest rate. Because any lending decision is a risk and return trade-off, basically. Higher the risk, higher the interest rate. Lower the risk, lower. Because if I have to ring-fence my risk, I have to put a higher rate, right? So it was stipulated by Reserve Bank, and then under the Basel III, Reserve Bank has made certain more stricter, governing the credit decisions. The point is that it is seen, because I had worked in banks and I have worked in credit rating also. I personally feel both should supplement each other. So credit rating is important for the country. Bank has its own credit appraisal system, risk management system, etc. But credit rating is an evaluation by an independent body, independent organization, to say what is the probability of default in a particular loan. So not necessarily the bank shall be guided by that, but it's an input available to the bank. And the credit rating agencies normally recruit very high quality of professionals. So accordingly, their reply is important. Their report is very important for the purpose of banks. But the point is that I have seen in my life that many cases banks are insisting for credit rating as a part of strengthening the credit appraisal process, but many cases bank also follows as a matter of regulatory compliance. Since Reserve Bank has said, since Basel has said, IBS has said, so they are following it. But my suggestion, in my senses, is that banks, commercial banks, should use it for the purpose of right evaluation or better evaluation of lenders, so that its asset quality will remain good, will be very good, so that the depositor will suffer less and other stakeholders will suffer less.
Okay. So my last question is that is credit rating a post-mortem or a prediction or a combination of both? What do you say in this aspect?
My reply is both a combination of a prediction and a post-mortem
All
because
right.
credit rating starts after the latest audited accounts is available. So accounts mainly relate to the audited accounts. When we talk about audited accounts, it means the past accounts only. But
Okay.
credit rating basically speaks about what is the probability of default of a loan or a debt in future. So it's a prediction, but prediction based on many factors including the audited accounts, so your past events. So it's a post-mortem because every decision, there has to be one factor is very important for every future decision, is that the time testing.
True.
So tested by time and trusted by generation. That is the tagline of Tata Steel, is very important in this context, right? So
Yes.
it's a prediction, of course, but but the past facts, past events are also to be considered for the purpose of making such predictions.
Okay. Okay, I think that was a very good insight that we got from you. And thank you once again for joining Eclectica. And it was wonderful interacting with you. I hope we will get more sessions from you, and we'll clear our doubts
Yeah,
regarding
sure,
the financial aspects. So
sure.
thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you.
Well, that was Mr. Shukanto Nag, and I think all the viewers got a very good aspect and explanation regarding the financial aspects, and there is no need to worry when we see failure of banks. And I think this was an eye opener for all of us. So thank you once again for joining Eclectica, and I will welcome you again in another episode, and see you again in a live session with some expert from different field, where we will again learn new things. So all the best and take care. Bye bye.